Look, most technical challenges aren't even about the technology. They're about how everything and everyone around it fits together. And as an accidental Salesforce admin, we all know you're already the go-to problem solver in your organization. We also know that creating real change starts with you. It starts with how you see the problem, how you connect the dots, and how you lead your team forward. And that's where something I'd like to call DEEP5 comes in. DEEP5 is a simple mental model that I've been using as my guide to frame my thinking, to align priorities, perspectives, and processes. It's not just about getting things done, it's about getting the right things done and getting them done together. What I found is that real leadership isn't about titles or technical certifications. It's certainly not about having all the answers, I can tell you that, but it's about how well you can see and articulate the bigger picture. It's about the change you're able to create and the impact that you can make. Earlier on in my career as a product manager, I worked on a project that felt like a win-win for everyone. I was super excited for the opportunity. To this day, it's still one of my proudest accomplishments and the most fun I've had. It was also very painful. We were launching a brand new app marketplace and corresponding developer program. So think the App Store or App Exchange for a enterprise SaaS platform. The goal was to build a platform that aligned with the company's growth strategy, a marketplace that was developer friendly, client friendly, and something that we could wow the industry with at our upcoming client conference. But as the project got underway, it became clear that number one, there were a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and number two, everyone saw the world a little differently, right? So our engineering team prioritized scalability, right? They wanted super clean code that would scale and cover every what if case as they were starting to open up, right, their code to the external developer community. They wanted to make sure that their room was really clean before everyone came over their house. And I totally get it. Our channel sales team wanted referrals. They wanted to find a way to scale a new partner selling motion through these new application partners and developers. Our app developers that we were recruiting to build new apps on our platform to be part of this initial launch wanted immediate ROI, and they wanted assurances of maximized revenue opportunities. Of course, marketing was tasked with creating the story around the conference, coming up with the narrative at the product keynote. So they wanted a feature that they can use as a centerpiece. Right? Sales wanted a list of features, something that they could check off to close deals against competitors in a pretty competitive space. And our CEO, everything. Wanted everything. And right now, doesn't sound any different. Sounds like me a little bit. But with the added cherry on top of the fact that all apps on the marketplace, and these are enterprise apps, mind you, needed to be installed in a single click, one-click installs. We all spoke different languages. We transacted in wildly different currencies, right? There's code, engagement, quotas, speed. And so we got out of the gate slow. Progress was slow. Results early on were disappointing, troubling. And of course, you could feel the tension and frustrations. And I forgot to mention that we had 3 months to do this. And when we got started, we did not have a single developer in our community. We did not have a single API published or single piece of documentation for our partners. We didn't have a single contract structure for our app developers. We had nothing. But eventually, we figured out a way to pair the right goals with the right currencies. I figured out what could be good enough, what needed to be world-class on day one. And once we were on stage, we blew the socks off of our clients, prospects, partners, and industry analysts alike. But it wasn't without its costs. I would argue that we were probably a more fragmented team, a more frustrated team, and a team that was less together. It definitely took a toll that I wish we could have avoided, and I certainly think we could have avoided. And so as I moved through my career working at startups and public companies, building different products for different markets, leading Salesforce implementations of all sizes, I realized this problem was everywhere. right? This misalignment, this inability to speak each other's languages, see each other's worlds, this wasn't unique to my projects or to a single company. It was pervasive. And so that's why I really rely on DEEP5. I teach DEEP5 and it's part of our core culture. It's a mindset, right? Designed to cut through the chaos and help you see the problem in all the various ways your constituents do. Because when you're able to do this, things don't just get done, they get done right. DEEP5 bridges the gap between what people see and how they see it. It helps teams align their perspectives and their priorities. I don't really see it just as a framework, but it's a mental model for creating the culture and capabilities that allow this meaningful change to thrive. And so whether you're leading a project, you're building a team, you might be choosing external partners, these 5 lenses provide clarity. The lenses are: number 1, outcomes, the goals we're all working towards. Second lens is humans, the people impacted and involved in every decision. Third lens is technology, the tools and systems that power the work. The fourth lens is capabilities, the resources, skills, and time we have available. And the fifth lens is rhythms, the processes and communication that keeps us aligned. DEEP5 is built around these 5 key lenses, and they provide that critical perspective to complex problems. Each one of these lenses helps teams align and ensure that you're tackling challenges from every single angle. All right, let's take a deep dive into the outcomes lens. Every project starts with a reason. Maybe you want better lead routing, faster quote approvals, or cleaner data. But here's the catch. Outcomes often get lost in the shuffle, especially when we fall into what I call solution speak. Solution speak is when we focus so much on how to solve a problem that we start to kind of lose sight of what we're actually solving for in the first place. So the solution could be a new tool, a workflow, or process, becomes the headline, becomes the star of the show instead of the outcome that it's meant to achieve. So the danger is that solution speak will stifle creativity and innovation. It will narrow our thinking to a single path and could blind us to better ways of achieving the same outcome or achieving the outcome at all. So here's an example. Your company decides to implement a lead routing feature or a lead routing platform to automatically assign leads to account managers, and leadership emphasized lead routing as a priority for the quarter. Months later, the project is done and leads are being routed from your website to your reps as intended by a lead routing tool, and it does so automatically. So cool. And you may have even baked in a little extra feature. So when a prospect comes in or a lead comes in and the prospect is already in your sales process, it informs the rep assigned to this prospect of an intent signal, right? Hey, this person you're in cycle with reached out again. So freaking cool. But at the end of the day, 6 months down the line, your team isn't seeing any higher conversion rates. Why? Yes, lead routing was implemented, but guess what? Leads in Pacific time zone were being assigned to East Coast reps that were offline in the evening, right? Early risers in New York were being assigned to teams in LA because the real goal wasn't just to implement lead routing, right? Presumably, lead routing was a proxy to talk about increasing conversion rates, right? Maybe perhaps by decreasing time to first touch. But how do we know that for sure? Lead routing was completed as a top priority, but it's clear that it lacked the direction of a strategic outcome. All right, on the flip side, if you knew that your leadership team actually wanted this because they wanted to, say, improve lead conversion, or let's say they were trying to achieve the outcome of X number of qualified leads or an X percentage of increase of number of qualified leads quarter over quarter, you might have actually had data that told you that automating lead routing wouldn't actually solve this or give them the outcome that they wanted. That instead, based on your knowledge and information that you have, that a particular segment of clients being targeted in maybe an experimental campaign that you're running with marketing was showing promise, and increased spend there would be a much better option to accomplish this outcome of increasing number of qualified leads. So in this case, the solution speak eliminated a much more viable option to fulfill that outcome. Okay. And you see this all the time. I get my hand slapped by my team and vice versa when we're doing too much solution speak. Because the outcome lens forces you to take a step back and ask, why are we even doing this? Are we creating valuable outcomes or just simply executing a solution? And of course, what does success look like? How will we measure it? Outcomes are essential because they set the direction for everything else. But as you work towards those goals, there's another factor you can't ignore, and it's the people involved. So let's talk about the human lens and why it's critical to your success. When you roll out a new tool or process, the human element can make or break your success. Why? Because every stakeholder sees the change through the lens of their own goals and pressure. And because people are people, right? Truer words have never been spoken. People are people. So here's an example. A new Salesforce flow is launched to improve pipeline visibility and help your reps prioritize high value leads. Sales reps feel like it adds more admin work and slows them down. Before the rollout even begins, they label the system as another distraction that they don't need. Even though the workflow is technically sound and it's been proven in a smaller control group or beta program to be way more efficient and effective, this perception alone leads to low adoption, right? And when a bad sales month follows, guess what's blamed for slowing the team down? Yes, it's this new workflow. So the human lens always forces us to ask, what does this change mean for each human? How does it impact every human's daily workflows or their goals? What pressures, motivations, or fears might shape their reaction? So the human lens reminds us that even the best technology, it's not going to matter. It won't succeed if the human beings it's meant to serve don't feel like it sees them back in return. Understanding the human drivers behind success isn't weak. It's not soft. It's actually incredibly strategic. Understanding the people behind the system is key. But let's also not forget about the system itself. The tools and technology that you end up choosing can either empower your team or hold them back. And that's where we move on to the technology lens. Look, we all know technology is powerful. It's getting more powerful, but only if it's implemented with competence and precision. The reality is you have more to lose with more poor technology decisions than to gain with good ones. I'll say that again. You have more to lose with poor technology decisions than to gain with good ones. Getting it wrong, right? Whether you choose the wrong tool, you over-engineer something, you make a bad architectural decision, it can set you back years, and I've seen it. An example of this is recently I saw a company select a subscription management platform to improve its billing processes, right? And they were enticed by the native Salesforce integration that came out of the box. We come to find that the integration doesn't support custom objects or custom fields. Unfortunately, this particular organization was relying heavily on custom objects and custom fields in their Salesforce instance because their previous admin or previous firm over-engineered and overcomplicated their configuration. As a result, you bought this tool, understanding the cost of ownership and cost of maintaining this integration would be much less. Come to find out, there's custom code in building this new integration, delaying the rollout by months, and it also meant maintaining this custom integration for the foreseeable future. And this is all avoidable, right? With due diligence, with competence and precision on the technology side up front. So the technology lens reminds us that competency matters just as much as strategy. Okay. The technology lens reminds us that competency matters just as much as strategy. And the stakes are really, really high. Poor choices create problems that will ripple across your organization for a long time. And I know firsthand by trying to unwind the web of poor technical choices and lack of technical competency. Of course, even the best tools in the world can only go so far if you don't have the right skills or the bandwidth to use them effectively. So this brings us to the capabilities lens. Even the best plan, right? Even the best plan will fail if your team doesn't have the right skills or enough capacity to deliver. Here's an example. So your company decides to migrate all business units, whether it's from acquisition or mergers across time, from legacy systems into a single unified Salesforce instance. You have an in-house admin who led a smaller rollout of a smaller business unit last year, and now you're tasking them with this massive initiative. Now they're juggling help desk tickets, they're doing routine maintenance, they're doing incremental improvements, and fixing urgent issues to support what was previously built, while now trying to navigate the complex task of doing data transformations from 5 different legacy systems, right? Getting cross-departmental input from what is now a much larger organization. These tasks are beyond their experience and, of course, their current capacity. So what I really love about the capabilities lens is that it really forces organizations to better understand how they can either upskill their team, right, to be able to tackle this challenge, understand if they need to bring in external experts to close this gap, or figure out a way to strategically prioritize and delegate some of these tasks to create more capacity. Having the right skills and resources is, of course, it's super vital, but there's one more ingredient that you need to keep everything on track, and that's alignment. This is where the rhythms lens becomes super important. Alignment is so fragile. It's super fragile. Teams naturally revert to their natural tendencies and get sucked in to the world that's right in front of them, to the battles that are right in front of them when they work in isolation, right? Without rhythms to reinforce alignment on a consistent basis, projects drift off course. I've seen numerous projects where there's a strong unified kickoff, right? Spent some time together over a few meetings to get online on the outcomes, the human beings involved, and the technology that's going to be used, the capabilities needed, to accomplish this project. And after the kickoff, people enter the real world again, right? And so things happen, right? Sales leadership was super aligned, and then they go off after the kickoff and their team has a bad month. And they start to question if the previously agreed upon priorities are still their priorities. I get it. IT, we aligned with IT on, what the security architecture was going to be on this new project. But because a new security vulnerability popped up, focus has shifted and now the requirements are in flux. C-suite now has a potential Fortune 500 company in the pipeline that, if they close, can help soften the blow of some of these issues that have come up, especially as they have a board to report to and a meeting with that board next month. So the rhythms lens ensures that alignment is sustained through regular check-ins, feedback loops, processes, accountability, because again, alignment is super fragile. Each of these lenses serves a purpose on its own, but the real power in DEEP5 is when you can use them together. Let's talk about why this framework is so important and what it enables you to achieve. Look, creating meaningful change is hard. It's hard. Getting people who see the world differently, who, again, pay each other in different currencies, to get them to come together and work towards a shared goal, that's super hard. And leading through it all, navigating misalignment, resistance, and the inevitable roadblocks that are to come, that's the challenge. But that's also the opportunity. Huge opportunity, right? Imagine a football team where every player has their own playbook. There's one for the quarterback, one for each receiver, one for each lineman. Without a shared playbook, they're not working towards the same outcome, right? Each player is doing what they think is right, but they don't actually even know what the other teammates on the field are doing. The team falls apart because no one sees the bigger picture. They're not aligned on the bigger picture. And success requires a unified game plan where everyone knows their roles and how it fits into the whole. And that's especially true of the quarterback. The quarterback is the one who sees the entire field, calls the plays, and ensures every teammate is working towards the same goal. So as I said, this is hard. This is hard. But why do we do it? Why do we do it? Because it's worth it. Because when it all comes together, there's absolutely nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing like it. And that's the power of seeing through all 5 lenses. When you start applying these perspectives, you're going to start spotting what others miss. It's going to give you the clarity to see opportunities and risks before anybody else. You're going to be the quarterback at the line of scrimmage, calling out a blitz before snapping the ball. You're going to solve problems earlier, so you're leading the charge instead of just putting out fires all the time. You're going to create systems that actually work, delivering real impact and earning the trust and respect of your organization. DEEP5 isn't just about what you can do, it's about the culture that you can create. It's about the people you choose to hire or partner with and the practices you put in place to drive long-term success. Leading change, again, is not about having all the answers. It's about asking the right questions and seeing the full picture. DEEP5 gives you the tools to build that clarity, align your teams, and create systems that deliver real results. It's not about doing it all yourself. It's not about doing it all yourself. It's about knowing how to guide, prioritize, and inspire the people around you. In the episodes ahead, we'll use these lenses to tackle real-world challenges, share stories of successes and failures, and help you sharpen the tools you need to see through all 5 lenses of DEEP5. And as you listen, I challenge you to swap in the different lenses. As you're hearing these stories, as you're hearing these lessons, try and put on a different pair of glasses every time, right? Practice seeing through all 5 lenses, not just for the projects you're working on today, but as a way of thinking about the teams you build, the priorities you set, and the culture that you're going to create. Until next time, remember, you're the change maker, you're the quarterback, and quarterbacks have to see what others can't. And they use this vision to bring their teams together and drive results that everyone can truly see.